Thanks for being here. This is Launch 2026. And before we get going, we're going to watch a little video from Mike. And believe me, it is a small video. Just want to ask a couple questions. So you need to write. Does everybody have a pen? You have a little workbook you can write on. So if you need a pen, who needs a pen? I have one spare pen. All right. Who else needs a pen? Ian. Whoop. Good catch. All right. So first thing we're going to talk about, because what we're trying to do is make some adjustments, some improvements in ourselves, our skill set, mindset, in order to launch, get into a better area of production, trying to get you to increase your ability to produce more real estate transactions. Is that sort of what everybody's here to do? We don't have breakfast pizza. We don't have any kind of fancy snacks or anything. What we have here is knowledge and experience and maybe some synergy amongst the group to try to help you. Because obviously if your buddy who's sitting next to you is here, or both sides of you are trying to do better, then maybe we can work together for improvement. And it's a lot of fun to share success with others. So the first thing I want to ask you is put down up to 5 things. What are your strengths when it comes to being in the real estate business? Another way to put this might be, why would somebody want to work with you? You could put down some of those reasons. But why? What are your strengths? Somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, if you turn it over, then every sheet is blank. Funny how that works. So, you might say something like, even though I'm not that experienced in the business, I've always been able to relate with people. Is that important in selling real estate? You might say that, I'm very energetic. People like me because I'm enthusiastic about what I do. I'm a quick learner. I don't know, those sorts of things. If you can't think of anything, I guess that's okay. Gives us plenty of room, plenty of things to work on. So take just a second and do that. Up to 5. All right, so the next thing, what do I know that I need to work on? So I'm here. If I was perfect, I don't think I would be here, right? Except if you're Adrian. Right? If there's something that you know that you need to work on, and that would be in order to improve, to become better at being in the real estate business, what do I need to work on? Do I need to work on my listing presentation? Do I need to work on my communication skills? Do I need to work on my schedule? Do I need to work on my mindset? And then try to be as specific as possible. Because a lot of times people say, well, I need to work on my mindset. Well, what does that mean? Right? Here's a little tip that I was thinking about giving you something a little bit extra. Anybody ever heard of a guy named Zig Ziglar? What made Zig Ziglar famous other than having a really cool name? Do you think that was his real name? Imagine that was a nickname, but what made Zig Ziglar famous? Yeah, he was sort of a motivational guy. He was one of the first sort of dudes to realize that most of America is just wandering around aimlessly, and maybe if we could help them get their motivation level higher, we could get more production out of people, right? And so he had a number of really great sayings, but one was, every once in a while, you got to give yourself a checkup from the neck up, right? Can everybody sort of relate to what that is? So periodically through the day, through the months, through your life, you got to sort of look in the mirror and be like, how am I doing in here, right? Which is ironic for me because Look how I'm doing. I had to get some special stuff to really get me going. But, what's going on in your head? Because that really controls a lot of what we're talking about, doesn't it? Because the strengths that you have, are they always evident in your daily life? Why are they not that way? Yeah, because you sometimes hold yourself back. You're the one who's got the controls. And if you hold yourself back, then no one's going to know that maybe, what's a skill that somebody has here that's positive? Empathetic. You're empathetic. Frasier is empathetic. But if she's not feeling it here, is she relating to people with empathy? Usually not. Usually, then you're not paying attention to other people. You're not going to express the empathy that you know that is such a positive attribute in you. Okay, what else? What is another aspect that you might have that's a positive thing that would be held back if you're not there with your mindset? Authenticity. Authenticity, right? People think you're genuine. People think that you care, back to empathy, but if you're just not with it, then you're just looking to move on to the next thing. Like you're talking to somebody, you ever been talking to somebody, you can see them like they're just sort of looking like over there and just really distracted. Does that make you feel like they're genuine and authentic people? Not at all. So a checkup from the neck up. How could you do that with a process to make sure that or in essence, how do you make sure that you give yourself that checkup from the neck up periodically? How do you do that?
Like podcasts sometimes, or listening to other motivational speakers.
Yeah. One way that I try to do it is just put that in my head. I mean, I think about that a lot. I think as I'm going through the day, am I really where I need to be mentally? If I got my head on straight to where all the positive things are being displayed, or are they not? And so that's a powerful part of what we're talking about, because we all have strengths and we all have things we know we need to work on. What are some things we know we need to work on? What's that?
Emotions.
Emotions. And what does that mean, Z?
Trying to keep it in between the lines.
And what does that mean, Z?
So when I get too excited or too happy, I'm really up there. If I get too down, I'm really down. So I just got to keep, like Spock attitude.
Spock. Some people here don't know who Spock is. Who knows who Spock is? Raise your hand if you know who Spock is.
There you go.
Not Star Wars. Not even close to Star Wars, but science fiction, yes. Okay. So Spock was a Vulcan, right? And there's something called the Vulcan death grip. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. All right. So I forget what we were talking about. So emotions. So if you get too high, what Chris is saying, if you get too high, you'll say you get a deal, your contract is accepted, right? Where are you?
Oh, cloud nine.
Cloud nine. And then all of a sudden, the financing falls apart. Where are you then?
Oh man, in the dungeon.
So sometimes it's worse. If you'd have just taken it to this level, it's easier to deal with when something negative, if you just fall to here. But if you're here and you fall to here, it can be tough. It can be tough. So working on your emotions. Is real estate, can it be an emotional business? For just those same reasons. Because one day you're on top of the world, the next day it sucks, right? Or it's apparently, I guess evidently, it sort of sucks for a little while. But you know what? It's going to get better, right? And you can impact that. What's another thing that we need to work on? Organization. Very common. Jeff, you're not the only one who suffers with that. I think most people in real estate, because you have to have so many balls in the air, it's tough to do that. What else? Accountability. Why is accountability more difficult to find in this business than in most?
Independent contractors.
You're your own boss.
Yeah, your own boss. I mean, like in normal 9-to-5 America, it's set up to where you don't really have to have your own self-accountability, self-discipline, because of who? The boss. And if you don't do what the boss says, what happens? A lot of times you gone, right? In this situation, you do, like today, if you guys all wanted to go to Dairy Queen and eat blizzards all day long, could you do that?
Yep.
You sure could. Be a pretty good day for a little while, right? What's another thing we need to work on?
I said knowing what to say.
Okay. yeah, so just knowing what to say, when to say it, sort of developing skills around real estate. What did you do before real estate?
I was a teacher,
Teacher. So what subjects did you teach? Elementary stuff. So I guess the first day you got there, it was like, well, I need to know what to say here too, right? But how many years did you do that? 7. So by year 2, 3, 4, did that sort of come sort of naturally? I mean, obviously you still had your book and whatever else, whatever teachers do today. But back when I was there, they had paddles and stuff. That really helped. Back to the accountability part of it. But anyway, so yeah, so you have to, if you're newer to the business, how many people in this room are in the business just 1 year or less? Okay, so for you, you don't have the experience, so we've got to try to get on with some of the dialogues and practice, like objection handling and different things on what to say and when to say it, so you can, I guess, flatten the learning curve to be there faster. That's a good point. Anything else, other things we need to work on?
Self-doubt.
Self-doubt. Very interesting. Back to the old Zig Ziglar thing with the check up from the neck up. How does self-doubt impact your ability to find success in anything?
A little bit to what Z said. It's just getting too high and too low.
And sometimes that can help with the self-doubt. What's the story of the little, is it the little engine or the little train that could? Okay, tell me that story, Jake.
It was a little train going up a hill, just saying, I think it can.
Okay, right. Okay, anybody ever heard that story?
Liddy said, I thought I could.
Yeah, right. Well, what about I think I can't? Has there ever been a story about that? Well, every day. Every day. I mean, do you think back, like let's use the example of Tiger Woods. What sport did Tiger Woods excel at for quite some time? Maybe not so much now. But so do you think Tiger Woods, when he was looking, I don't play much golf, but I know the rules. So when you hit the ball, you think he was thinking, like I think, God, that lake is pretty big. It's like a damn magnet. Or what is he thinking? He's like, that baby's going over there, and I can see exactly where that thing's going, and that's in the cup.
But I think why is he's had so many repetitions at it. And the only thing I've ever found that really helps that self-doubt is to just do
Yeah.
and keep moving.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's been mine. I don't know if other people feel that way.
No, you're right.
I struggle.
I agree.
There's no question. And so then the question is, how do you get the reps? Like, if you're Tiger Woods, you've seen the videos, he's like this tall and he's got a golf club. So, I mean, he doesn't even remember when he wasn't playing golf. When most of us did something before we got here, and we even those that are experienced, had to learn it at an older age, and always went back to thinking, well, maybe I don't really have the skills. Maybe I'm not that good at this. But the quicker you can get rid of that, the better your chances are for success. And I'm sure you know that the days or the minutes or the hours when that's not there, it's a lot easier to perform. Would you agree with that? I mean, if when you're not doubting yourself, when you are the little train, Jake's little train that could, that's a lot easier than if you're sitting there, I can't. These people are going to laugh me right out of their home. And that's just not it's tough. But anybody else experience that? Yeah, I've had that. The key to the whole thing is shorten the amount of time that's in your head, and then figure out how you do that. And we talked about that the other day when we were talking about staying positive. Like, for a while, music for me can do that. Like if I get into like the Earth, Wind, and Fire, I was telling you about that. Like if I listen to that, then I'm not thinking about negative. It just makes me think positive. And if I look at goals, like I showed you the picture that had the dog and the ducks and all that, and I kept thinking about, that's sort of why I'm here, because I want to buy property for me, my family, and generations to come. So that helped me get away from the negative side of things. I was thinking about how cool it's going to be to see my grandchildren, shoot a duck or a deer or drive a tractor or whatever else. It's weird, but for me that was it. Still is it, you know. So you've got to identify the why. Like it's the perception of the pain of what it's going to take to get to the next level has got to be overshadowed by the feelings of joy when you get there. And that can help too. But we can't solve it all in 1 minute. One more thing. What else is somebody working on or need to work on?
It's to be more direct, asking for business and referrals.
Okay. Being more direct with asking, is there a video getting ready to roll that has a person who's very good at that? Why is he really good at that?
Does it every day.
Does it every day. That's just who he is. I mean, I've never been around someone who just can turn any conversation into a real estate conversation and not really make it sound like he's pushy. I mean, you ever been around somebody who does that, but it's so pushy, it's a turnoff? Is that what Mike does? I mean, Cindy, Rodney, you've been around Mike your whole lives. I mean, did he do that like as a kid? Like when he was like 5, Cindy, was he like trying to sell people stuff?
He always tried to win arguments.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
He was always going to win, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know I mean, some people have it naturally, but do you have to have it naturally in order to become successful? No. No. I mean, there's certain people that just have to develop it, and other people have it naturally. So, but that is something that we all have to deal with is how do we get ourselves to feel comfortable to just, like Mike, if you're getting pulled over by the state police, turn that into a listing appointment. I don't know how that works. I'm not very good at that. He's good at it. I've seen it happen. All right? So what we're going to do is we're going to watch, well, all these things we talked about are really why we're here. And all those will be directly addressed as we go through the program, which is going to be ultimately 10 weeks. This is week 1. So what we're going to do today is just sort of set out some goals for the program. We're going to listen to a short video from Mike, and then we're going to go through the first section of the workbook, have a couple homework assignments, and then get on with the program. So Logan, if we could roll this, that would be great.
Hello, Hometown. Hey, this is Mike Chenault. I'm so excited to tell you about Launch 2026. Sounds good, doesn't it? Let me tell you what Launch is going to do for you. We're going to help you and show you the way to sell one more deal a month. It's that simple. If everybody sold one more deal a month next year, they'd be happy, we'd be happy, and wow, what a business, right? So we're going to go full speed, we're going to get excited, and we're going to make it easy for you. The entire team is kicking in on this. We've got a 10-week program. We're going to teach you all the things you need to know, and it's going to be simple. They're going to explain what you need to do, and we're going to go week by week and knock it out. Some of the things you're already doing a great job of. The things you're doing a great job of, we want to hold the line, keep doing it. Some things are missing from your game. We want to add them, make it a little better. And some we just want to tweak, right? So planning, prospecting, skills, time management, accountability, that's what we're going to help you with for the next 10 weeks. So listen up. The goals, simple goals. They've laid out the goals for you. That way you know what you got to do and when you got to do it. The week 1 overview, that's going to be terrific. Simple goals and track them. Are you really doing the work or are you just at work? So we're going to grade out more on the execution and the effort. Not punching the clock as much, but more what are we going to get accomplished? You're going to learn from some of the best agents in the business. We want you to pick a more successful agent than yourself. Take them to lunch and ask them some questions. We're going to give you the questions, and then you can ask your own as well. And you're going to learn from that agent, right? So week 1's going to be fun. Program's going to be exciting. The action items for week 1, you're going to learn the mayor campaign and use it. We always talk about it. We're going to set up your database and improve your database. That's all in the takeaways and action items for week 1. You're going to use that mayor campaign, and you're simply going to wear your name tag. Just having a name tag or a hometown pin, that's going to help. And you're going to set that lunch up with an experienced agent. So sounds like fun, is going to be fun, is going to help you out. I encourage you to stick with it, listen, try hard, and change your game. Thanks a lot. Thanks to the people that have put it together. And we want to launch your 2026. So buckle up and let's go make some sales.
There we go. All right, so turn to the part that says Week 1 Launch 2026, Business Plan and Schedule Weekly Goal Sheet. Everybody see that? My book is a little different than yours. Let me get one of these other workbooks. Cindy, can I have one of these just to make sure that I'm... Everybody see that? Who stayed up and watched the football game last night? Pretty cool. Is that why we're really tired today? All right. So we're going to do two things. So I want you to draw a line, like a vertical line, right by all the little blank lines that are there. Just draw one beside that, okay? So in the actual blanks that we provided for you, we're talking about just this next week. And then to the right of that, we're talking about 10 weeks. So the first thing is we got to have an idea of how many days we're going to work. So if you've got vacation plans sometime in the next 10 weeks and you're going to Honolulu, you're not working then, and that's fine. Okay? And maybe you don't work on the weekends. That's fine. Whatever it is, but you got to think about how many days are we planning on working. Now the easy one is going to be the next 7 days. So including, let's just say from today until next Monday. So it's really 6 days, right? So we're going to talk about how many days we're going to work. So go ahead and write that number in. How many days you're going to work. So if you've got plans for the weekend or whatever else and you're not working, that's fine. Just how many are you going to do? Because we've got to know. Like you got to know how many days am I going to be in the game. And I'm not talking about, well, I was skiing and somebody made an offer on my contract and I had to work that out. That's really not, that's just going through the process. We're not talking about that, even though that is, like, to your family, that's working. I get that. But you're not really you're not moving the ball forward by just negotiating a contract or dealing with something that comes up. I'm talking about actually physically doing it. Got that? All right, so how many days in the next, so today is Tuesday, so count today, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So I guess it is 7. 7 days. All right, everybody got that? All right. So then think about in the next 10 weeks. If you look at your calendar, see if you got vacation time on there. How many days are we working? So in the total, 7 weeks. There's 70 days possible. How many you got? And if you don't really know, then just make a goal. Because then we can track this and see how often you really are doing it.
Is that on the other side of the vertical line?
That's on the other side of the vertical line. It's very scientific. All right, everybody got that? And if you need to adjust it later, if you realize I didn't remember that I was going to Dollywood or something for big time. All right. The next is your database. What is a database, Benjamin?
It's a list of relationships.
A list of relationships. It's not just names and phone numbers. What's the difference in a list versus relationships?
Relationships are with people that know, like, and trust you, and as it pertains to real estate, people that will refer you.
Nice. So you've got to think about how many people do I know that also know me and that might be willing to help me grow my business. Does that make sense? Some of those are super dedicated. Benjamin calls it like the army, right? Don't you call that? Yeah. You call it whatever you want to call it, but some people call them like A pluses. What's an A plus?
Someone who will refer you without you asking.
Yeah, good. That's a good description of that. I mean, somebody who's going to go out of their way to get you a referral. They're going to be at a restaurant, and the next booth over, they hear them talking about real estate, and they're going to stand up and tell them how great you are, and they won't let them leave until they agree to call you or something, right? I had a guy one time. He was at a swim meet, and they were doing, like his parents have to do the time, and their kids are swimming and whatever, and he heard somebody on the next block talking about selling their house. He dials my number and gave them the phone. Like I could hear like, okay, in lane 2, it's little Joey and whatever, And I mean, the guy's like supposed to be timing the thing, and I'm talking to him about a listing appointment. But that's an A+. And then you have on down the line to somebody who's like some people call it a C. Everybody can have different names for it. But what's sort of a C? Adrian, what's a C?
A C is someone that will refer you if shown how and you ask.
Yeah. It's a possibility. Maybe you're trying to develop this person into being a B, and so in between there you can have whatever levels you want. But your database is this list of relationships, some of whom are going to be on board, 100% ready to go, know how to do it, and others maybe not, right? How many of you have something like that now? Okay, good. If you don't have that, that's okay. That's why you're here. You're going to build it. For those of you that have it, we're going to refine it, okay? So, in the next week, all right, so for those of you that are experienced, what are you going to do with your database? You need to know sort of how many the number is, and then how many of you think you have some dead weight in the database? Yeah. What else, in a perfect world, you'd eliminate the dead weight. What else do you do when you refine your database? Well, yeah, that's a good thing to do. Yeah, at some point we're going to do that. But what else do you do with before you're reaching out? What are we doing with okay, sorting them? So maybe getting that prioritization of them from the A pluses to the C's or however you want it, whatever you want to call them. Why is it important to sort them? And we're going to talk about this a little bit next week too. But why is it important to sort them?
Know where to focus your time.
Yeah, it's not an equal opportunity situation. Who gets the most of your time in the database? Why?
Most likely to refer you.
Yeah. Can you be great friends with somebody who's a C? Certainly. This isn't about friendship. This is about developing the database that's going to be the engine that drives your business. Okay? So we're going to be refining and trying to figure out who's really good, who there may be somebody in the database whose brother just got in the real estate business and they're sending all their referrals to that person. Is that okay? Do they need to be in your database? Probably not. So there may be people that need to be eliminated. There may be people that need to be added, and then there need to be people that are moving up and down. What else do we need to do when we're refining the database? Well, we need to add some as well, yes.
Classify
And what does that mean?
whether they're A, B, or C. Or
Okay, talked about that.
Make sure it's complete, that you've got all the information.
Because if you just have a name and you have a bad phone number, that ain't really doing a whole lot. See, the whole idea is the people don't know that they're in your database. Like if you have, this is my database. I keep it with me everywhere I go. And Cindy's in here. Did you know look, see you in there? Isn't that fun? Isn't that nice?
What do I do in there?
You just stay right there. Well, are you having fun in there?
Sure.
So how many referrals do you get out of that? Now, you got to do something. So you got to let them know that you appreciate them and let them know that you're still in the business and let them know that you're a professional and that you just got it going on. But if they, just because they're in the database, they don't get it. So the whole idea is eventually we're going to be contacting these people and showing them some love, right? And we'll talk about different ways to do that. So in the first blank, we need to talk about, like, if you're experienced, what are we doing? What is our total number of people in the database? And then maybe write a sub-goal of what are we doing this week to try to refine that. If you're new to the business and you're developing a database, how many can I get in there with name? What information do you need from these people?
Emails, addresses, birthdays.
Yeah, the more information, the better. Why is it valuable to have pets' names, kids' names, birthdays, maybe some notes about how you met them? Why is that all valuable?
List of relationships
Yeah, talking points when you look up that record and you want to call them, you can remind yourself, like memory joggers. The older you get, the more you need some memory joggers sometimes. Why else is that important to have all that stuff in there?
Genuine, like Z said, you actually do care about them,
Yeah.
what's going on in their life.
Yeah. The other thing down the line, at some point, maybe you don't want to sell real estate anymore. You want to like ride off into the sunset and do something different. What if you had a list of 500 names, numbers, addresses, notes, details that you could then sell to somebody else or give to another agent or you could just get your stuff and leave? Do you think there's value in a real mature database? But do most agents have that when they leave? They don't. This is no longer my database box. This is just my stuff that I got off my desk. They put their stuff in the desk and they leave and they go. But if you're savvy and you have that database, that would certainly be worth something to you. So if you're a new agent, if you could have my database and give me 10% referral fee on every deal that came from that, would you be willing to do that?
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be worth something, wouldn't it? So maybe you can create that. All right, next, contacts made by phone. So some of you don't realize that this is actually a communication device where you can speak into this and talk to people. Some people think it's just this, right? Yes, Craig. You have a question about the phone?
What's a good number for an experienced agent of people to have in their database?
I think if you've been in the business, let's say you've been in the business for 5 years, I think you've got to have 200 people. Benjamin, what would you say?
I mean, I think 100 is the magic number to get to, and then
Yeah.
depending on your type of marketing,
Yeah, and I don't think there's, if you don't have 200 people that are legit and you've really exhausted your thought, and next week we'll talk about how you're going to get these people and jog your memory to get them in here. But just to have 200 names is not the key. If you only have 100 or you only have 75 that are really good, that's much better than a 500 that really stink.
Well, Craig, I would include in your 100, like husband and wife, in my mind, is one, but it's nice for activity because there's 2 calls.
Yeah, and I would have a different opinion on that. I think husband and wife is 2, and I know for me, like I've got my group of friends and I know sort of what they're doing, and my wife has her group of friends, and I have zero idea what any of them are doing, right? So you be careful, because if sometimes all you do is talk to one, then maybe you're not getting into what's happening with the other one. But in some ways it can be one too. So anyway. All right, so contacts made by phone. That's one way to reach out to these people and have direct interaction with them. When you talk to somebody on the phone that's in your database, what does that express to them if you contact them by phone?
Care.
Yeah, you care, right? Lets them know that you're still in the business. How many realtors that were in the business this year are not in the business next year? There'll be a lot, right? How many people that were in the business 2 years ago were in the business 1 year ago? I mean, there's people in and out of the business all the time. Your people may wonder, are you still doing it, right? They feel awkward calling you because they don't even know if you're still in the game, right? So you got to let them know that you're in the game, right? When you call them, let's say you don't have anything to talk about, what could you invent to talk about? The weather. It's going to snow this weekend. Yeah. I got some cool Jake Croco snow shovels on order. Bringing you one over to the house. Ice scraper. Well, you could, if you know they live in a certain neighborhood, you could just real quick pop up the recent sales in that neighborhood and say, hey, yeah, I just saw a house on your street just sold the other day, or whatever else. So a lot of things you can talk about, but you need to be talking to them. So how many people are you going to be contacting this week? And then if this is a typical week, then you can multiply that by 7 and get how many in 10 weeks. Handwritten notes. Again, we all know this. What does a handwritten note convey that other things, maybe other forms of contacts, don't convey? Really care. Personalization. How many handwritten notes did you receive in the U.S. mail this past week? Very few. How many have you ever received when you see when you know for sure it's a handwritten note, did you just take it, look at it, and throw it away before you opened it? Very few people ever do that. They're going to look at it. So that it's memorable, it communicates caring, and it differentiates you from the rest of the world. How many is realistic to do in a day? Yeah.
5, I suppose.
I mean, you'd think if you just really did, like if you never had tried it before and you didn't know what real estate was all about, you'd be like, well, I could probably do 30, 40, 50.
No.
Why not?
You get sloppy and you don't know what to write.
That's one thing. I'm sloppy my first ones are all sloppy, right? What if you have sloppy handwriting? Does somebody ever feel like, I don't want to do handwritten notes because my handwriting is really bad? You ever do that? Maybe I'm the only one. Okay, we'll forget about that. But handwritten notes, so if you start doing it, just something about real estate, just things happen, right? I get busy, whatever else. But if you did 5 a day, how many is that? Who's got good math skills? We've got 10 weeks of this thing, say 5, 5 times.
5 is 25.
That's
Times that by times 250.
350. So somewhere the math is between 250 and 350 that you could get done, right? Somewhere in there is what the math says, okay? Even if it's 250, would you call that a successful campaign in 10 weeks? Heck yeah. Heck yes. All right. So write that down. Pop by. We know what pop bys are. We're going to see people. Now we've talked to them on the phone. We've seen them we've talked to them on the phone. We've written handwritten notes. Now we're talking about face to face. Who's a little bit intimidated when it comes to doing pop bys? Raise your hand. Be honest. Okay. Why are you intimidated?
Interrupting.
Could be interrupting. Could be bothering them. Anybody have trouble like just planning it, like, just doing it, right? There's a couple different ways to do it. Some people like, I'm going to just do 1 or 2 a day. How many of you like that? It's easy, take a really small bite. I'm more the guy like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it all day today. I'm just going to say, this is what I'm doing today. That way I can focus and just get it done. And it's sort of like, for me, it's sort of like a new roll of toilet paper, right? I have a hard time getting that first piece off of there, but then once it starts going, then it really flows easy. So the first stop, it's like getting it going, like in figuring out exactly what I'm going to do. But once I get it going, it's great. And people, do you usually feel like you're bothering people when you do? Those of you that have done pop bys? Never felt that way. They're happy to see you, right? Can it help to have a gift or something like that? Yeah, you have a little trinket, whatever, and people, your office admin, other agents can help you with that. But you go to the door, you just say, hey, I was in the neighborhood, just thought I'd stop by and say hello, and it's supposed to snow this weekend. Here's an ice scraper or whatever it is. How's the house? How's the kids? Whatever else. Did your plumber come by this week and say hello and give you a plunger? Right? You ever had like your doctor come over and, say, I just wanted to thank you for your trust in me and here's some Band-Aids or something? You ever have that happen? Yeah, give you a physical right there at the doorstep. So, it just again, why is care? Why does that word keep coming back up? Because that's what we're not trying to be transactionalists. We're trying to build relationships with people and change their lives and help them change their lives for the better. All right, pop bys. Now, so buyer appointments, how many times are you going to get with a buyer, whether it be showing houses or whether it's going to be having an initial consultation? Buyer sales. Ultimately, that's what we're here to do, right, is make some sales. So how many sales are we talking about this week and then during the 10 weeks? Listing appointments. How many times we're going to go sit and talk to somebody about selling their house this week and then in 10 weeks? How many listings are we going to take? How many listings are we going to sell? And then open houses. Who here thinks that open houses have some value? What are some of the values in doing open houses? We're going to have a whole class on open housing, but what are some of what's the value in doing open house?
Face-to-face with motivated buyers.
You can get yourself in position to be face-to-face with motivated buyers. That's great, Jack. What else? What else?
Or sellers.
Or sellers, yeah. And some of the buyers can be also sellers, and some of them can maybe not be buyers, but turn into be sellers. Great. Practice. Okay. Exactly right. I mean, you're brand new. Who here did a open house like soon after they got their license? Right? Was that perfect? Did you say anything really dumb? Yeah, I know that I did. Right? So when you said something really dumb, what did your like internal dialogue say to yourself? That was dumb. You might be the dumbest person in the real estate business today. These people think you're an absolute idiot. And then what did we do? I think most of us tried to correct that, right? Because we didn't want to be you don't want to come out next Saturday and be like, hey man, you don't want to look like a dumbass, but so often, right? So eventually, through this live fire, we realized some survival skills, right? And those survival skills are real estate skills, and we improve. Got it? So that's a great way to go. And if that's all that happened, it would be wonderful. But then, what else happens? You get some business, right? You get some business. You develop some relationships. You're like, all of a sudden, somebody's like, well, would you help us buy a house? Huh? Nobody's ever asked me that before. Sometimes we're like dogs chasing our tail. Like when you get it, what are you going to do with it? Well, you need to know what to do with it, but now you're on your way, okay? So it can be a great thing. So then number 12, 13, 14, however many you need there, what else? What are other goals? Like is part of what you're doing here in the new year, are you working on your fitness level? Do I need to say how many times am I going to work out? Do I need to say how many times? What can I hold myself accountable to within a goal setting? Write those down. What are some other things you might want to write down that not on this list? Either has to do with real estate or just your personal life.
Family time.
Family time. Yeah, how many, and how do you quantify that? How many days am I going to commit to family time? How many hours am I going to commit to it? Whatever else. And you could have some sub-goals too, like, here's some things I know we're going to do. We're going to go to date night, 2 date nights in this town. We're going to have this, or family, and we're going to take the kids to Chuck E. Cheese, which Big Z did yesterday. How was the band?
The Chuck E. Cheese band?
Yeah.
They're great.
Good. Anybody ever seen the band before?
They took out the band, by the way. Now it's a screen.
Oh, really? That sucks. Shows you how long it's been since I've been there. Do they still have beer?
Yes.
That's good. I always thought that was interesting. But enjoyable. Very good. All right, so we got all that straight. All right. So, turn the page. All right, so this is something, we're not going to do this right now, but daily schedule. This is the part that, man, agents just hate this because we're in this because we're independent contractors. We want freedom. What can we do? What are we going to do during the day? And so I just ask you just to try to write down a loose schedule. And maybe one nice exercise would be to write sort of what you normally do and then what you'd like to do. You might say, man, 5:30 a.m., sleep. 6, sleep. All the way to 10, sleep. Well, there's not enough blanks left, right? So maybe you would like to get up earlier. Maybe you'd like to do some exercise. Maybe you'd like to meditate. Maybe you'd like to do whatever. Maybe you'd like to spend some time with the kids, whatever it is. So maybe write down what's actually happened versus what needs to happen. And somewhere, is it ever going to be perfect? Especially in this business, is it ever going to be perfect? For most people, when is it easiest to keep it as perfect as possible?
Morning.
Why?
Less distractions. What's going on?
Why are there less distractions?
Because most people are sleeping.
Yeah, because so the earlier it goes, like let's say that you're a you got something on your schedule at 5:30. In most cases, does that get interrupted as easy as something that is at 3:30 in the afternoon? Not really. So most people find that before noon is when they need to really get down to business. And we'll talk more about different specific things, but you know many of the things that you need to do. What are just a few things, if you're in the real estate business, you might want to do on a daily basis? Yeah, get your contacts in, right? You've got a goal, you need to do whatever you wrote down, so that would be a good time to do it. All right? If you're very disciplined, you can do those throughout the day. To me, if I'm going to do it, a lot of times just look at the list, get them done, go on. All right? Something else? One other thing that would be important to do every day if you're trying to be successful in the real estate business.
Follow up.
Your lead follow-up. Yeah, if you meet somebody and they never hear from you again, what's the chances that they're going to stick with you? Not too good. Okay, so you got to be following up. We'll have a whole class on lead follow-up. So those sorts of things are there. And again, it's important to have a personal life along with this. If you're married, if you have a family, if you've got other activities that you're involved with, you've got to have time for that. And if you don't put those on the schedule, what are the chances that they actually occur? A lot of times they don't. Okay? All right, so you got a whole day's worth of stuff you can fill in there. All right, so then Mike said something about we're going to try to meet up with an experienced agent. Okay, so why do you think it would be important if you're relatively new to talk to somebody who's experienced in the business?
I would find out their daily schedule.
Well, those are certain questions, but what is somebody who has made it a couple steps ahead of you, what can they offer you? Yeah, knowledge, experience. They can flatten the learning curve for you. For most people, if you've just started, it's a race to get things rolling before your money runs out. Anybody else feel that? I mean, is that maybe an oversimplification, or is that exactly what it's all about? That's what it was for me. I mean, I had stopped my job and taken a blind leap of faith, and I had, at that time, 2 kids, wife that was staying home, taking care of them. I mean, it wasn't like it could just be like a hobby. Things had to happen, right? Rodney was nice enough to let me live on the couch at his house for quite some time, but got it going on. So, but by hanging out with him, and by hanging out with Todd, and by hanging out with Mike and watching what they were doing and asking them questions and sort of, having them hold me accountable, even though maybe they didn't always know they were holding me accountable, but I wanted to be successful and I didn't want to let them down, and I didn't want to look like a dumbass hanging around my best friends. So, they sort of unofficially mentored me into being successful. Well, one of the things we've done with this company is try to have this, this golden rule idea of treat people the way you'd want to be treated, and I would hope that people that are one step ahead of you would be willing to reach back and pull you up to certainly as far as they can. So these meetings, these lunch meetings, how many of you eat lunch most every day? And what the rest of you do? How many of you don't eat lunch every day? Raise your hand. Okay. All right, well, that's good. How many of you eat something every day? Okay. All right. It doesn't have to be. We said lunch thinking that, silly me, thought most people had lunch. It doesn't have to be that. It could be just a regular meeting. Lunch. Why is a lunch meeting, for those of us that eat lunch, the few of us, why is that good?
Usually people have that time off.
Correct. I'm going to be sitting somewhere, might as well sit with somebody else and have a conversation, and it's not really taking any of their time or my time, okay? You can figure out how you want to do it. So here's the questions that you want to ask, all right? If you needed to generate a lead in the next 8 hours, what would you do? So if you came down to crunch time, what would you do to make it happen right now? Ask them, where does most of their business come from? What are the steps I need to take in order to build my business that way? So if I were going to try to build it, what would I do? How did you do it? Back to the mindset. How do you stay motivated? And think about, like, when we were talking about mindset, some of you had specific things you're dealing with that may hold you back mindset-wise. Ask that experienced agent if they've ever felt that. What do they do? What do they do on the days that they just don't feel it, you know? What do you do if you ever find yourself in a slump? Mike Ferry said, if you find yourself in a hole, what's the first thing you need to do? Stop digging. Most of us need to listen to that. All right? What do you like most about the real estate business? You could say, what do you like least? What are your goals for this year, and what will you need to do differently in order to achieve them? Right? So, those are the questions. Here are some other action items that you need. So, next week we're going to talk about the mayor campaign, and you can see it in the next chapter, but you need to learn it and memorize it. Who here knows the mayor campaign? Please, somebody, without reading it. Who knows it? All right, let's hear it. Somebody tell me. Anybody.
If you were buying or selling a house or had a friend or family member who was, that'd be the real estate agent that you refer.
So if you were buying a home or selling a home, or had a family member who was, am I the real estate agent you'd use to help you with that? That's basically it, right? Is that difficult to learn? Shocking that Benjamin is the only one who knows that. Could you say that to people? Is that going to offend most people? Is it going to solicit a response that might be something that a real estate agent would be interested in? What if they say, no, you are not?
I know.
What could you say then? What else could you say? Just curious, why not? Well, because you need to know if this person maybe is on your, in your database or whatever else. You need to know if, the reason is because my brother just got in the business. We had a really bad experience with Jake Croco. Well, I'm not Jake Croco. Nobody would ever say that, right? You ever hear that? That is, Z and I were talking about this the other day. Like, oh, well, we had a neighbor who had a friend whose cousin used Hometown in 1989, and the house didn't sell. So we're not going to use you. What? I mean, is that something you could work with? Yeah, that's something you can use your objection handling skills to handle. But if they say, you know what, now I'm in the real estate business, I just got my license, are they likely to be referring you business? Not until after they fail. You don't want them to fail, but they're not going to do it while they're in the business. But then maybe you could talk about recruiting. I don't know. So clarify some of those things. So anyway, your mayor campaign, we're using that. So get your database going. If you can get it on paper, just so that you can share with other people how you keep it, but try to do that refinement and get it going so you actually can at least say, here's how many I have, and then talk about how you've prioritized them, whatever else. All right, number 3, we're making 10 center of influence contacts. 10 center of influence contacts, and we're going to ask them that we're going to use the mayor campaign. You're actually going to use the mayor campaign. You were buying or selling a home or knew somebody, a friend, family member who was. Am I the agent you'd use for that or refer for that? All right, how many of you have a hometown name tag? How many of you have some hometown gear, like a hometown hat, sweatshirt, something like that? You think you could wear that? What happens if you wear hometown gear sometime? What does that sometimes do? Starts a conversation. How many of you have on some kind of hometown gear right now? Stand up. Stand up. So you can see we have a potpourri of stuff. Jack is wearing a sporty thing there. That's right. Jake has got that. Skylar are you showing me? What are you showing me there? Okay. Oh, you probably know what you're doing. All right. Craig with a nice LL Bean hoodie, hat here that Adrian designed. So sometimes people will see that, and what do they say? You're somewhere, and they say what?
Oh, you work for Hometown Realty.
And what shouldn't you just say?
Yeah.
There's a good, bad example. All right, what could you say?
Yes, do you know somebody at Hometown
Okay. Yeah, I'll know some people over there.
Yes, do you need to buy a house? Right?
Yeah, well, yeah, when do you plan on moving? So yeah, Hometown. Have you worked with Hometown Realty before? Are you looking to buy or sell a house? I mean, you bring it in. You sort of assume the role of Mike Chenault, and you then ask questions that could maybe get you a referral. You know, versus just say it again, Craig.
Yeah.
So think about Craig when you get ready to respond. Okay. There you go. So let's see. We got name tag, hometown gear, and then set up that lunch with the experienced agent. Anybody have any questions as we go forward? All right. So it's right in an hour. This is class 1. The next class, where will that be? At your office. Okay. Now, some of the managers are not here, but do you know what time the meeting is? For people in my office and ask, I want you to stay after, come up here, and we'll just talk about that. So we'll set our time.
Same thing with Twin Hickory. Anybody with Twin Hickory, come back here when it's over.
Yeah, we're just going to talk about everybody's schedule in my office and just see who, we'll just agree on a time that works for most people. Now, here's the key. These things are videos. So next week, I think it's Benjamin. Didn't you do the video for the next class? So if you had to miss, we don't want you to miss, but if let's say you're going to Timbuktu and you're going to be gone next Monday, you can catch up by watching the video and getting it that way. All right? Everybody happy? Yeah. Thank you for being here. I hope this thing works for you and look forward to great things.